RWBY Ice Queendom Episode 8, Where You Belong, has officially released, so let me break it down for you. So at the end of last episode, Weiss used her dream powers to bring Big Nicholas to life. In this episode, Team RWBY realize, that's a building, we can't really fight that. So the plan is to not fight it yet, and instead get inside. The episode is really split into two main halves, what Team RWBY is doing and what Jean is doing. We'll start with Jean since he's the lesser main character. Basically, Weiss is going on an absolute rampage pretty much this entire episode. She brings Jacques' statue to life and he becomes a pretty badass knight. It's a really great second-in-command antagonist to have. It's like the White Fang lieutenant, who rolled Weiss, by the way. With Jacques and Big Nicholas on her side, she winds up capturing and imprisoning all of the escaped child hers. I thought for a split second, and was kinda hoping this would happen, that it was going to be dark and an absolute bloodbath. There was a moment where Big Nicholas had all of the child Weisses in his hand, and he started charging up his laser eyes, and my thought was, how much gore are we about to see? But then he just turns all the big Weisses back into children and throws them in jail. And you know, in hindsight, that makes sense. I think it was last episode's fault for all the Attack on Titans vibes that I thought it was going to be a lot darker. I still almost prefer it because it would have been wild. But that doesn't happen and everyone that was in jail prior gets thrown back in, including Jean, who tries to give his big hero speech and then gets rolled. Once in jail, the vines continue to spread and corrupt, so in an act of desperation, he uses his last coin to create a door where everyone evacuates to the train, where the vines stop pursuing them. Turns out the sword that he spawned with is deterring them from advancing any further, so for now, it's a safe haven. Now listen, I don't want people to start thinking Jean is some sort of heroic leader who is shepherding all these children to safety, as he pretends to do in one scene. Because 10 seconds prior, one kid gets grabbed, and he doesn't bat an eye. He don't care. He's like, there's 7 of them anyway. No one's gonna notice. This is karma. Jean getting left behind to fall down the pit is karma for abandoning this child. Winter left his ass in the dust the same way he did to this kid just now. It all comes back around, Ice Queendom filling in the gaps. But basically, that's Jean's story for now. As for Team RWBY, they do manage to get inside the building and make their way back to the auditorium where the Grimm is still. It hasn't moved. But this time, Weiss ain't messing around. You thought she was difficult before. Now she feels like she's got something to prove. And she just decimates Team RWBY. Like Thanos walking through the Avengers at the end of Infinity War. She's just taking them out one by one, blipping them to another location just so she doesn't even have to look at them. And the end result is an even bigger L than last time. They put up worse of a fight and now they're all separated. Blake and Yang, however, meet up and find Faunus Camp, where all the Faunus live fun and happy lives. I kinda hope that this is dark. Blake's relic is the last one remaining as RWBY lost hers. Weiss destroyed both of hers and Yang's this episode, and so, you know, there should be a black relic, I'm assuming. As for RWBY, she didn't get teleported as she managed to escape by the skin of her teeth. Jean finds her and brings her back to the train where she thinks about how much she's failed both as a teammate as well as a friend. He also tells RWBY about why Weiss locked away her child side and speaks to her all about becoming an adult and taking responsibilities, and I can't help but feel Jean wasn't the character for this speech. I can't take him talking about having to be an adult when I know he's rocking a Pumpkin Pete hoodie that he got from turning in box tops, which had to be relatively recently because it fits his current size. I feel like talking about being an adult would have been better delivered by an adult, either Ozpin, Glinda, or Xion. Obviously, that would have had to have taken place before they went in for their final attempt, but I feel like one of them would have been better suited for talking about growing up. Hell, Yang could have done it, to be honest. She knows what it's like. But anyway, RWBY during this winds up passing out due to getting infected by the nightmare earlier, and so she too has slipped into a nightmare. I don't know if this counts as her own separate case or if she's bound directly to Weiss. If I had to guess, it would be the latter. They're not able to go into RWBY's dream directly because she's in Weiss's dream. So they gotta go 2 layers deep to save RWBY. Either way, within her nightmare, all we see are the characters who come out and give her unending love and praise. It's like what actually happens in the real show. But here, the scene was definitely a lot creepier and effective because we saw throughout this episode how much she feels like she failed. So in reality, she's undeserving of being praised because she's aware of how much she's screwing up. So, you know, the whole thing from its creepy aspect to what it's setting up for her character, I really liked. This whole series does seem to be heavily RWBY and Weiss focused. Blake most certainly has a role she's fulfilling as well and contributing to the whole thing, but Yang is kind of just along for the ride. I was also pleasantly surprised as to the further setback and failure of the characters. In usual RWBY fashion, once they've decided that they want to win, they usually just win. And so considering they were like, this is our final attempt at saving Weiss, I kind of expected them just to go in, pad the episodes out in large grand scale fights, and then emerge victorious. But they continue to sink further down, which I think adds to the stakes of everything. And not in the Weiss just gets a spear to her stomach type nonsense. I like seeing the characters, especially RWBY in this scenario, hit these lows and be forced to question her resolve and actions, or lack thereof, that she took along the way. It's not as simple as punch, punch, kick, kick. Those things are there, but they're ultimately meant to complement all of the character moments and actions that everyone is taking along the way. The problem isn't just going to be solved by fighting. Now, get ready for your weekly Jean bullying session. I was yet again forced to ponder after seeing this episode, specifically when Team RWBY found the nightmare. Why is Jean here? I thought, okay, I don't like that he's been brought in, but the nightmare has likely moved, so they need to speed up the process and find it quickly. But apparently not. The nightmare is in the exact same location as where they found it the first time. They took the exact same path to get there as well. So you don't need Jean to be the hot and cold detector to find it, because you already knew where it was and how to get there. So why is Jean here? He's protecting Pyrrha, which I imagine has some sort of significance because, as people pointed out, she's wearing Weiss's dress, which was also seen captive by the Thorns. But he's doing that purely out of coincidence. Now, you might think, as I have pondered, that perhaps Pyrrha is in some way part of Weiss, but that doesn't make sense, because Weiss should be Weiss. That's Weiss. That's her. In Jean's dream, Jean was just Jean, and every other character within the dream is just themselves. There's not two iterations of everyone. In Jean's dream, all everyone had to do was go in and kill the nightmare, and Team RWBY is on the whole killing the nightmare thing. Granted, not very well, but they're trying to do it. So what's he doing? Of all the things the show has over-explained, the rules were probably the most important and the least established. If Jean's nightmare is so easily explained as just go in there and kill the Grimm, then Weiss's shouldn't be as complex as find the multiple relics, discover and protect the conduit in which her soul has latched itself onto, and the psyche to which she keeps everything must be kept intact. The baseline in which we started with Jean does not seem like a good example to showcase what the Nightmare Realm is like, apparently. I don't know what's supposed to be happening other than killing the Grimm. It probably should be as simple as that, but it feels like they've made some things needlessly complex, and including characters that don't need to be there. I doubt by the end of the series I'll think, yeah, Jean was necessary, but outside of that thought process I went through, I did enjoy the majority of the episode. Unexpected low points and failures by the main characters. Weiss was dominant. The stakes felt like they were high and still constantly rising, in a natural way, I mind you. So yeah, I thought it was very good. Moral of the episode is that Atlas probably should have installed a giant monument to Big Nicholas, because that seems like it would have helped in Volume 8 a little bit. I think Nightmare Weiss has some pretty good ideas, actually. Maybe think about that one.